Good morning. Well, it's morning here anyway. Propane Pete back with you again for another day of sorting out this tiny car in my tiny workshop. Got a fair bit done yesterday. Brakes, CV boot, changed the engine oil. The only thing left to do with the brakes is to replace the brake fluid. That's been in there for a very long time. It looks very dark. It's time to change that. I'll also go right through the cooling system, the radiator hoses, heater hoses, and also the fuel lines and vacuum lines. I've noticed as I've been working here that quite a few fuel lines and some of the vacuum lines are time hardened. They've hardened up and they need replacing. That's not a biggie, and you can get that stuff from Repco in lengths, not a problem at all. The tyres have arrived at Bob Jane, but before I do that, I need to clean the wheels up and repaint them. So before I take those wheels in, so the tyres might not go on today. That might be a job for tomorrow. And what is going on? What is going on with these cockatoos? Well, I've had to cut and wait. It's been a couple of minutes. I turned the camera off. They're really upset about something. That's probably a snake. The house next door is full of snakes. And in fact, talking about snakes, there's an odour here, and that's snake. I know that odour quite well. So a snake's been in here, and so I'll just have to hunt around, see if I can find him, get rid of him. Probably in one of these cupboards. So anyway, that's enough. Anyway, I'll get on with it and we'll get stuck back into this little car. Well, we sorted the brakes out yesterday, and today I'm finishing the job by changing the brake fluid in the system by doing a gravity bleed. I don't have a pressure bleeder, and I don't like pumping old master cylinders because the primary cup can end up travelling in an unused area where there's some corrosion, and it damages the cup. And 3 months later, you have a leaky brake master cylinder. And you've probably noticed the background noise by now. We have quite a lot of bird life here, and it's very pleasant, but boy, they really get going sometimes. When you're bleeding brakes, you always make sure you keep an eye on the brake master cylinder reservoir and keep that reservoir topped up. Otherwise, you're going to end up having to bleed everything. And on some cars, it can be quite tricky. I've been around all four corners of the car, and that's the result. And look at the colour of that brake fluid. That's been in the car for years. And brake fluid's hydroscopic. It absorbs moisture, which isn't good for brake systems. So we'll get some nice, fresh, clean brake fluid into the system. The rear drums were on while I was bleeding the system. Now it's just a matter of finishing off and tensioning the hub nuts to 90 Newton meters with a tension wrench, and pop a new split pin in and the grease cap, and the rears are finished. I'm starting on the cooling system. I'm a little bit concerned about some of the hoses and connections. They all look a little bit sketchy to me. There's corrosion. So I'll get out of that now, so that if I have to order anything, I'll keep ahead of the game. Some of these scrivets don't want to come out. They've been in there for a very long time. I'll probably break a couple of them, but I've got some spare ones there on the workshop bench. Some radiators don't have drain plugs, which is a real pain sometimes. But fortunately, this little one's got a drain plug. It's a bit hard to tell if that's just rusty water or old coolant, but just running your fingers through it, it'll do a bit of a taste test. I think it is old coolant, so that's good. Wow, it was loose. So I'm just taking off some bits and pieces so I can get access to the hoses. This is the hot air intake system hose, which was an early attempt at emissions control. I can't see how it would work on a little 993cc engine, but anyway. This is what I was talking about. You can see that corrosion at the end of the lower radiator hose where it goes into that water manifold, and you can see the corrosion there. All the hose ends have got corrosion. If that water manifold is too corroded, I'll have to remove it and take it to a radiator repair shop, get it all cleaned up and get it brazed. This is the sort of thing you run into with older cars. I'm just very gently removing the bottom radiator hose from the radiator, taking it very gently. I've used a pick to just break the seal. I'm just gently prising it out. I don't want to pull the neck out of the radiator. I fast forwarded the video. It took a good 15 minutes to very carefully prise my way around with a pick to break the seal and very gently lever the hose away from the bottom radiator neck. Taking the top radiator hose off so that I can get my hand down to get that bottom radiator hose off, give myself some room. That adapter on the top hose is obviously going to need some attention. You can see a bit of corrosion. The top end of the bottom radiator hose came off pretty easily with just by working around the seal with a pick, and there's a bit of corrosion on the end of that pipe, but that looks like that will clean up okay. That should be okay. It took a long time to get these top and bottom radiator hoses off because of all the rust, and you can see the corrosion there between the two different size hoses. That all has to be addressed. So now I'll clean everything up and we'll see where we are with this and what we need to do if there's anything we have to get. So I'm starting to clean up everything, see how we go. There was very low coolant in the radiator, a lot of it had gone, so there's obviously some leaks there. I'm already thinking ahead a bit. I'll get this going so that it's okay without any leaks, but long term, once the car is registered and back in the workshop, I'm going to start chasing up some new radiator hoses and some of these 32mm to 25mm adapters. This is the bottom radiator hose, and both this and the top hose, the inside diameter of both ends is 25mm, but the outlet neck on the radiator, both top and bottom necks, are 32mm, so obviously they don't fit. So what they do is they have this little interconnector that goes on there, 25mm to 25mm, and then there's a bit of pipe, a bit of hose there, which is 32mm there and 32mm there, which goes onto the neck. This all squashes up, of course, and has clamps on. So that's what happens, and it's the same thing for the top. There's only one little issue here. This is the bottom connector, and it's pretty crusty. I've cleaned it all up, but it's pretty rusty. It'll be okay. There's a little bit of a pinprick there.
I don't want to remove it too much more because it might leak. So I'm going to take this one and put it on the top so that I can keep a check on it. And the bottom one, and this used to be the top one, but it's now going to be the bottom one. This one's in excellent condition, not a problem at all. But if there's an issue with this, I'll be able to see it immediately, and I'll be able to do something with the local radiator store, I think. And what else? These are all the clamps, and I hate these things. So what I did, I've just been to my friendly Super Cheap Shop store. I go there often. I think they must be their customer of the month. And I've bought some proper Jubilee clips, hose clamps. Much easier. And just better. So we'll go ahead and put all this back together.
While I was wire brushing this adapter, a flake of rust popped off and revealed a pinprick hole. So I cleaned it up, and I've repaired it with a product called Sally's Need It. It's a polymer repair compound. It's amazing stuff. I've used it in other things, including a little sailboat. So I'm just filing it all down now and making it all round and uniform. You can actually call this a permanent repair if you like. It'll last forever. But I will actually get a couple of new adapters in the future after the car's registered. I spent a lot of time, almost the whole day, on this cooling system. I put everything back together. It had rubber grease on all the connections, so it all slid nicely. New clamps. I filled it up with just plain water and ran the engine, and it leaked straight away from multiple positions. So I redrained it and took everything off again. I've cleaned everything up again as much as I can, put it back together again, and I've had success. It's all sealed up. It's good. So I'll give it a flush, the whole system a flush with water, and then I'll put some coolant in. But just the same, after the car is registered, I'm going to chase up some new radiator hoses and also some new adapters. Well, I've spent a lot of the day on the cooling system, but the workshop foreman who insists that I keep working and start moving on to the fuel system. And he's not even going to pay me overtime rates either. Anyway, I'm going to have a look at the all the fuel lines and vacuum lines. There's about 1 million of them underneath this air cleaner tray. And I'm being very careful because they, some of them are 30 years old and they're very brittle, and there's some plastic connectors, and I just don't want to break anything because how I would get new ones, I don't know. I'd have to make them. I just have to fabricate them themselves in the workshop. Anyway, and there's one there now. It's just fallen off. There's all these vacuum lines, and some are missing too. So, and I can see where they go. So the car's been running with some of these little vacuum lines missing, and so I'm going to have to sort all this out. And there's another example. The cork gasket between the carburetor and the air cleaner has broken, so I'll have to get some cork or rubber, and I'll make a new one of those. And this is the air cleaner, the top of the air cleaner, and you can see from the yellow sticker the timing belt was changed in August 2012. That's 12 years ago. It's now late 2024. So I'll be replacing that, and I already have a new timing belt, a Gates belt, ready to go. And I'm just waiting on a new tensioner to arrive from Melbourne. And this is the air cleaner element. It's a Ryco, and it looks really good, doesn't it? But it's also 12 years old. There's a date stamp here. There it is, 2012. So I'll be replacing that, obviously, and I already have one of those as well. This inline fuel filter is very old, and that fuel line is very hard. That'll need replacing. So I'm starting to remove the filter and all the hardened fuel lines and vacuum lines. And I just got a call from Bob Jane T-Marts. The new tyres I ordered a few days ago have arrived. They can fit them up tomorrow, so I'll take the wheels in tomorrow and they can fit them up. And while they're doing that, I'll go around to Repco in town and I'll pick up a new filter. And Repco also have reels or rolls, I should say, of different sized fuel lines and vacuum lines and other things. So I'll get all that there while the tyres are being fitted. Well, it's been quite a long day actually, and that workshop foreman, boy, he's really pushy. Yeah, it's been a long day, and all I've really done is some radiator hoses and a couple of fuel lines, but it took all day. But that's how it is with old cars. If you keep them registered, drive them around a little bit, and just run a minimum maintenance program, keep an eye under the hood, just keep an eye on them, they'll generally last for many decades. Fortunately, our friends used to run the engine every now and again, drive the car around a little bit on the property, and that's made a big difference. I think we've caught this little car right at the right time. Another year in the shed just sitting there, I think the story would be very different and we'd be doing a lot more to this little car. But anyway, it's going well. What's next? Tomorrow I'll get those new tyres sorted, fix up, get a little bit, get some fittings from Repco, and then we'll crack on with the list and see how far we get. So we'll see you next video. So cheers.